Happy Record Store Day! So I know I said I was going to do like a monthly review sort of thing, but that kind of went out the window at Christmas, so I apologise for that. But as a lot has been going on recently, I thought I may as well make a few videos because I have some very exciting things that have happened recently. So there's going to be about 3 videos uploaded in once, so let's just crack on with it. I also apologise that my room's quite echoey, so this video is going to sound like I recorded it in a toilet stall because it's really echoey in here, but my room has recently been redecorated, so it's kind of still a bit empty, so I'm just going to apologise for the really bad sound quality. Okay, so I started by saying Happy Record Store Day, and today on the... On the 16th of April, it is Record Store Day across the world, and what that is basically a load of bands release limited edition sort of vinyl or re-release stuff, and it's supposed to support local independent record stores. And obviously as a Muse fan, I heard that Muse were releasing a... is it a 7-inch? I think it's a 7-inch vinyl of Reapers. And me and my dad went along this morning we got there at 7:30 I think, and it was snowing and we were cold and I had no socks on because my room's been redone, so all my stuff's in like suitcases, and I forgot to get a pair of socks. So we stood out queuing. We were quite far down the queue and it took us until 8:30 to actually get into the shop. But we went along and we actually managed to get 2 copies of Reapers. And I feel really bad because some stores across the world only got like 2 or 3 copies and my local record store had 60. So this is the Reapers vinyl. As you can see, it's a like print disc, so it's got the Reapers front cover on it that was designed by the person who did all of the artwork for drones, and on the back it has how to make a paper drone, and I tried to make it earlier and it's actually just a paper aeroplane. So a bit of false advertising there, Muse. But I paid £12 for it, which I thought a little bit expensive for a 7-inch vinyl, but it is a limited edition and it is Muse and it's going to go in a collection. I'm not going to play it, I'm not going to open it. So as an investment for the future, it's going to be good. I've seen some already for 60 quid on eBay, so who knows who might benefit from this. And my dad also bought me the Origin of Symmetry vinyl. It's not new, it wasn't on Record Store Day or anything like that, but it was in my local record store and I thought to support it because it's a small one and I'd rather buy from a small local business than a big one like HMV. I thought to support them I'd buy Origin Symmetry, which is one of Muse's, like one of my favourite Muse albums. It's not up in the top favourite one. My favourite Muse album is actually Absolution or Hullabaloo. But this is the only one they had, otherwise I probably would have bought something like Drones or The Resistance. And it was actually cheaper in this smaller independent store than it was in HMV. So, like I said, I'd rather buy it from a smaller store. But yeah, it was a good day, and the chain, it's a small chain of stores. It's called Rise Records. There's one in Worcester, Cheltenham, Bristol, which is like their main shop, and then there's another one. And they all took part in Record Store Day, and I'm really happy they did because the one I went to is my closest record store. Otherwise I'd have had to travel really far to try and get it, which I didn't really want to do. So yes, I am happy with my purchases, and that's a short bit of what happened today on Record Store Day. So in other news, I went to see Muse at the O2 Arena in London recently, and I thought this video would be mainly centred around the gig and kind of reviewing the gig because it was phenomenal. Like, you can't really fault Muse for the gig, it was spectacular. So I'll start from the beginning sort of thing. I got tickets originally and I was told I was going to see Muse in Manchester. So I was strung along to believe that I was going to see Muse in Manchester, and I arranged to meet people, and then on Christmas Day I was given an envelope and in it had 2, they weren't tickets but they were like replicas of tickets to tell me I was going, and on it said that I was going to see Muse at the O2 Arena and I had VIP tickets. and I screamed, I completely broke down, I was so happy, I was really excited. And so I've been waiting for months now. I think it was 213 days from when we first got the tickets and when I first knew I was going to see them. It was a 213-day wait, and in that time I avoided all spoilers. I didn't really know the set list, I only vaguely knew the design of the stage from Q magazine. And it comes to the time when me and Dad are going. So I set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning because it was a fruitless exercise me trying to sleep longer because, first of all, where we live, we have to travel about 5 hours to get to London. And I wasn't going to sleep anyway, I was too excited, and in the end I only got about 2 hours sleep before I actually went to see them. I'll do a separate video talking about what I did during the day because I went to like Lush, I met up with a friend, so I'll review the Lush products and talk about the day in general. But come the evening, I'm really excited, I'm really pumped to go. We take the tube on the Jubilee line up to North Greenwich. We dump our stuff in the car, we take what we need. We've already been told that the O2 don't allow us to take in water, but we take a bottle just in case because we'd had Chinese for lunch, so we were parched. So we go in and we're obviously VIP, so we get there a bit earlier, and we go to this place called drone processing, which is where they sign you off the list and you're like on a proper guest list. And I was stood there and I was like, what if we're not on the list? What if there's been a fault? Oh my gosh, and are we going to be turned away, sort of thing. But we were way through, our names were on the list, and we go through security and our water was taken off us, but we go into the museum, and that is a terrible pun, and whoever came up with it is awful, honestly. But we go in and the first thing we see is this giant robot head that was used on the Second Law and Unsustainable tour. It's huge, it like comes up to my waist sort of thing. It's only the head, and also by it is one of the riot guard suits from the Revolt video. And then to our left is Dominic Howard's drum kit. Now obviously, being the huge fan I am, I was like, oh my god, can I go and sit on it? And nobody had gone and sat on it, on like the drum stool. And I waited a second, I saw this person go over and sit on it, and I'm like, Dad, you need to take a picture of me on this drum stool. So he takes the camera, and I go and sit behind this drum kit, and it was a bit intimidating, because as somebody who doesn't play a musical instrument, and to think whose backside had been on that seat, it was kind of like, I'm really not meant to be here, because I don't play any instrument, I'm not talented, I shouldn't be sat behind one of the greatest drummers in existence drum kit. So we take the picture and we move on, and we see all their like effects pedals, we see clothing, we see their instruments, we see Dom's silver Converse, we see the Panic Station shoes, which were personally my favourite because those shoes I would die to have. We also see like smashed bits of Manson guitars, bits like the mat has just shattered into oblivion. And then there's an amp and two guitars hooked up to it. One of the guitars is one of Matt's really expensive Mansons, and one of them is one of Chris's basses. And the sign above it says, please play Psycho on the guitar or Hysteria on the bass. Now, not being a musician, I got my dad to take pictures with both of the instruments, and considering Matt Bellamy is the same height as me almost, if not a tiny weeny bit taller, because when I met him he was only just taller, and neither of us were wearing very high shoes or anything. Considering we're almost the same height, his guitar strap was too long for me, so I was kind of holding this massive piece of wood in my arm, like this is far too heavy for me. And Chris's bass was about 5 times heavier, and obviously he's really tall, so the strap was far too long, so there was me with the strap coming halfway off my body and me trying to support this massive bass guitar and trying to smile really awkwardly because everyone was staring at me. But so we look around that, and then we have a drink, because there's like a bar there. It's fairly expensive. It was like £3.30 for a bottle of Coke, which was absolutely extortionate. And then we head on actually into the arena. So as we have VIP passes, we are pretty much fast-tracked through security. We have our camcorder taken off us, which kind of annoys us because at the beginning of the gig it said the band encourages you to film as much of it as possible. So we were kind of like, why did you take our camcorder off us? But never mind. My food's taken off me because I had a packet of sweets in there. And we're ushered through and we go and buy merchandise. And initially I buy a hoodie and I buy 2 Muse t-shirts. One of them's printed with like the Muse logo with the roses on, and then the other one's the drones one with the tour dates on the back. I bought this one after the gig and it's Fantagram merch, it's not even Muse. So we go into the arena and we sit down, and because we were in row C, we were under the impression we'd be about 3 rows back. But as we're getting down, we see that we're actually stood at the barrier. We're like, our seats are at the barrier. So, because standing was like, our level was here and standing was kind of down there. So we had an unhindered view of the stage right in the middle, and it was possibly the best seats you could ask for. They were absolutely phenomenal seats, and both me and Dad were not expecting to be sat right at the edge. So that was fun, and that was really exciting to see the seats, and you can see the stage design from where we were, and we were right, later on in the gig, we were right pretty much next to where Matt's piano was, so that was a nice view. And then Fantagram came on. Now, I haven't liked Fantagram, like I'd heard of them before Muse said they were touring with Fantagram, but I hadn't really listened to any of their stuff, so when Muse said that the band for our date was going to be Fantagram, I went away and listened to some of their songs, and I actually found I really like their music. So I would probably rank them in my top 3 favourite bands. They're really good, they're really worth a listen, they're kind of electronic. So they come on and they do an amazing set. It was pretty much all the songs I wanted to hear live, and I will be definitely saving up any money I can find to go and see them when they next tour the UK. They play Mouthful of Diamonds, Turning into Stone, Don't Move, Blackout Days, Fall in Love, Howling at the Moon, and When I'm Small. And they were really good songs, but I don't think they were received as well as they should have been. They were really good. They weren't like one of these bands that didn't fill an arena. Like, they might be quite a small band in terms of presence in the music industry, or so most people say, but they fill the arena even though they are just on the stage playing their instruments and not putting on the big show that Muse put on. They fill the arena and it's absolutely brilliant. Like, they should be doing arena tours. And they're not really received that well, and I'm like the only one who's really singing along to their songs, so I felt a bit awkward because the guy next to me was giving me weird looks. And I was trying not to be too overly enthusiastic because we'd spent all day walking around London. So Fantagram go off, and then the excitement hits me smack in the face. So in that break, there's a half-an-hour break between Fantagram and Muse, and in that time I go and meet someone very special and someone very close to me, and I'll talk about more in the vlog of my day. And so I meet them and then I go back to my seat, and at about 9:15, I think it was, the arena goes black after the announcement that we could film and stuff, and there's kind of like a pause of just people like screaming and getting ready for the gig, where these 12 inflatable spheres come down from the rafters and descend into the crowd. And the opening line of Drones, like the song, the a cappella song at the end of the album, starts to play, and the bit in the middle, the screen in the middle, is playing all the lyrics. and then these drones light up, and they just kind of move really slowly over the crowd, and these men dressed as the people from Revolt, so like riot police, come out and part of the show stand at the edge of the stage. And it's only at the end of the song does the band come up out of the stage and walk to their places. And then they open with Psycho. And to go from Drones to Psycho was a bit of a jump, but it was a combination I didn't realise I needed in my life until they played it. Because obviously when I went to see them in Newport, they opened with Drill Sergeant into Psycho, and obviously that's how it goes on the album. But to go from the end of the album to the beginning of the album was kind of cool. It was really cool. So they play the three tracks from Drones first. They play Drones, Psycho, and then Reapers. And I hadn't seen Reapers live because we left Reapers at Newport to meet Matt. And it was awesome live. It was absolutely amazing live. It was a great one to like jump around to, and this time me and Dad stood up the whole way through the gig because it's impossible to sit down at a Muse gig because you're not having as much fun as you are when you're standing up. And the guy next to me was smashed and jumping around anyway, so I felt a bit left out. Then they played Plug-in Baby. Oh, and during Psycho, at the end where he's about to do this solo where he normally gets down on the stage and cradles his guitar with his head on the floor, he puts it on his head and then he drops it, and he picks it up again and he drops it again as he's walking up to the other end of the stage, and then he throws it, and that was fairly funny to see him put it on his head and it slip off. But anyway, they play Plug-in Baby and they play a really good set list, and they played Undisclosed Desires, and I'd said about 3 months before, oh my god, I want them to play Undisclosed Desires, but I know that won't happen. And then these veils came down which like tracked their movements, and Matt gets a pair of flashing glasses out and I'm like, Dad, they're playing Undisclosed Desires, oh my god. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. Talking about these screens, they were like these really thin veil sort of fabric screens, and they came down at periodic like intervals during the show, and the handler was one where it was a really key part. The band was stood on the stage, and obviously they must have sensors in their suits, and there's these lights above them, and the screen has this hand shape with these strings coming down, so it looks like they're being controlled by a puppeteer. And the visuals on the entire set were phenomenal. Like, whoever was doing the visuals, I think it was Tom Kirk and like other people, they honestly need some award. They need to be recognised for those visuals because they were out of this world. They were bloody fantastic. But then we get to Mercy. Now, I'd wanted to hear Mercy live all night, and it got to the final 2 songs, and I was a bit miffed. I was like, are we going to be the only gig that doesn't get Mercy? So when Matt said, put your hands in the air, I was like, yes, finally! And by this point I'm crying because the song means quite a lot to me. I won't go into it, but it means quite a lot to me. And I don't know if any of you have seen live videos of Mercy, but you'll know, I don't want to spoil it for people, but I'm probably going to have to write spoilers in the description. At the end, like sort of bridge bit before the last chorus, all this confetti comes like I don't know the word, pouring out of these cannons. And I've actually got some, hang on. So I've got some confetti here. I took quite a lot of it, actually. And what they are, they're like, let me find one that isn't all folded up. They're like little men off the front cover of Drones, like the album. And there was loads of it. Like, it could have easily filled the floor of the arena. And then as the chorus comes in, all these streamers come like flying out of the cannons, and there is confetti and streamers absolutely everywhere. Like, you could not escape from the confetti if you're on the lower levels. It went miles. But The song before that had been The Globalist, and it was surprising that we got Citizen Erase and The Globalist on the same night, because although they're two songs that apparently The Globalist is the Citizen Erase sequel, they're quite long songs, so I was surprised we got it. But the screens came down, and on it was like projected a video that like described what the song was, and the song went along. Having Matt Bellamy whistle on the stage was great. Like, he did some quirky bits in the whistling as well. Then he played the piano literally meters from us, and it was fantastic. And flying around at that time was this big inflatable drone that just kind of circled the stadium. And it was huge. It wasn't small. It, like the other things, it was really big. And I know it came down into the crowd on one or two gigs in London, but it was just The Globalist as a song. It was like you were watching something out of a film, and there was so much going on around you that you forgot that there was a band on the stage, because there was music in the background, you knew it was there, but everything else that was going on around you, there was so much to look at and so many new things you were discovering every single minute. And then the last song they played was Night of Sidonia, which is a great song. And obviously it was started with Man with the Harmonica, and Chris had to throw his harmonica away once because it must have not been up to scratch. And the song was great, it closes, Matt kind of leaves, Chris throws all the picks into the crowd, and then Dom says, "London, you were great," sort of thing. And then that was the gig done. I would have recommended going to see Muse even if you don't like them, even just to go to see their stage setup. They are definitely a band that puts on a performance. It's not just them with their instruments on the stage, it's a whole, all their tours have been elaborately designed, like the stage like rotated, and it was a 360 stage, so you could see them at all angles, and they were playing to everybody. So it wasn't just they were playing straight out, they were playing to everybody around the arena, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then there was like arrowheads at the end of the stage where they went up and stuff. So definitely 10 out of 10 for creativity. The set list was awesome, apart from the fact that they didn't play some of the songs I would have liked to have heard, that they seem to have included on every other day apart from ours. But you can't really complain because we got Undisclosed Desires. So that really did it for me. So I'd say about 9 out of 10 for the set list. It wasn't perfect like Newport was, but it wasn't crap, if you see what I'm saying. It was a really good set list. Bit jealous we didn't get Map the Problematique. I'm still waiting for that. I've been waiting since 2013. So if Muse, if you're watching this, next time I go to a gig I'd like to hear Map of the Problematique. Also, they didn't play Bliss, which completely slipped my mind until they played it on every other gig, like in Manchester and the other London gigs. I was like, oh yeah, Bliss is a song, isn't it? Because I feel bad for forgetting that. But definitely, it's a band that I would recommend going and seeing just for the visuals and the performance. Even if you don't like their music, just go along, because you don't leave like how you would another gig going, oh that was great, it was really good music sort of thing. You leave feeling like you've witnessed something special. Something that has had hours of hard work and love and crafting gone into it or basically only to please their fans. And that in itself I think is a great thing, and that is one of the reasons I love Muse. They put all this effort in to please their fans. Of course they are gaining something in their pockets at the end of it, but they are definitely doing it, in my eyes, more for the fans' gain than themselves, because what are they gaining from forking out all this money for all this expensive equipment? They're not really gaining a lot, apart from satisfaction of knowing they've pleased their fans, and I think they've definitely done that. I don't really know anyone who's gone on the tour and complained about any of it, apart from the set list, because some people are ungrateful. But yeah, they're a band that I would recommend anybody to listen to, honestly. And that's not just because I'm obsessed, it's because they make such good music and they put on such a good show. So if Muse ever come anywhere near you, go and see them. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So go see Muse. I should be getting paid for publicising them. But yeah, anyway, that was my review of one of the Muse O2 gigs. I think that's all really. This video is going to be really long as I've talked for ages, but I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, and if you've already been, if you comment below what you thought of your gig and what the highlight was for you and anything that could have been improved. And if you haven't gone, I hope you've watched this and you're even more excited to go and see them, because I know they're doing the rest of Europe soon and then Australia, I think. So whoever's watching, comment below whether you're excited or or how you found your gig, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share it with people, because that's always good. So until next time, which will probably be in a few hours with my next video, I'll see you then.